We are, by our very nature, limitless beings. When we're newborns, all possibilities lie before us. There are no limits. The big question is, what happened to the unlimited natures that we're born with? Where did they go? The answer is, when we're babies, we're told right from the beginning, do this or do that, don't touch this or don't touch that. And we're a little bit older, parents tell us the same thing, teachers tell us even more sternly, bosses, everybody tells us what to do. There have been many studies that have shown that babies that are allowed to move around and touch whatever they want because they have this incredible curiosity. The curiosity that babies have is boundless. Their creativity is also boundless because they don't have those filters built in yet. And the studies have shown that the babies that are not don't have handcuffs put on them, so to speak, are the ones that actually are way more creative. The ones that hear no all the time and are told what to do since they're newborns are very, very restrained in their creativity. As a child, we're told not to do something, and you, as a child, you often just ask why, because you really want to know why. But what's the typical answer? Because I said so is the answer. This has taught us that we're not free beings. This has taught us that we have boundaries around us. Stand back from your beliefs, which were actually put on you, just for a moment. If somebody said you had to talk this way or be like that, that's not from you. You're not making those decisions. Is it really who I am? Or is it just what people made me be? Parents, friends, teachers, even Hollywood teach us to do things that are not in our core, that are not a natural part of us. These have a great influence over who we become. They actually shape us without our permission. The good news about, let's say, behind all this that I just spoke about is that we don't have to stay that way. We can escape it. Just try to imagine a society where babies were looked at and supported from the beginning, but looked at as, I don't want to say blank slates, but a being that has special capabilities that when they get a bit older can be nurtured. And I'd like to tell you one quick story that underscores that. There was this is a true story. There was a little girl in school that couldn't concentrate and was always fidgeting. She was moving around in her chair all the time. She was, yawning, just not paying attention. And the teacher tried over and over again to help this little girl to get a little bit more serious about being a student. The teacher got so tired of the behavior of this little girl, she called the mother and told her that she thinks she should probably be in a special school. The mother was of course shocked. So the mother thought, instead of taking her to a special school, I'll take her to a psychiatrist, and the psychiatrist can talk to her, or psychologist, whatever it was. So the mother took this little girl to the psychologist, I'll say. And the psychologist talked to the little girl, and to him she seemed okay, but they didn't go that deeply yet. But talked to the mother, talked to the little girl again. After a while, the psychologist said to the mother, "Let's go outside and just talk a little bit." But before going outside, he turned the radio on to keep the little girl company. Well, they went outside, closed the door, and they were out talking in the hall. After they talked for a while, the psychologist looked back through the window in the door and saw the little girl was dancing rhythmically to what was on the radio. She was dancing. The psychologist smiled and told the mother, "There's nothing wrong with your daughter. She's just not a student. She's a dancer." Well, that person always brings a little bit tears to my eyes. That person went on to become a professional ballerina and a professional modern dancer. But after that, she found her true calling. Oh, she actually acted as well. But then she found her true calling, and that was choreographer. This little girl who couldn't do anything in school became the choreographer of Cats and the Phantom of the Opera. That just goes to show you what happens when you look at someone without limits and you take off those chains. It can make all the difference in the world. I forgot to mention the little girl's name is Gillian Lynn, or I should say was Gillian Lynn. Unfortunately, she passed away some years ago, but she has quite a legacy that she left behind. That's for sure. So what steps can we take, or what steps can you take in order to get back to the limitless state? There are several different kinds of methodologies. One of them is simply remembering yourself as a child and the kind of joy that you felt. And joy, don't confuse with happiness. Joy is something that comes from the heart and, excuse me, and joy and wonder for that matter. How often do you stop and smell the roses and, or do you get too caught up in your job or the city you live in, or what's the thing holding you back from really smelling the roses? Because when you start smelling the roses and you start allowing yourself to have wonder about things, your joy will increase, and that's automatically going to help you a lot on your path towards becoming limitless. As an adult, we have a wall around us, a very strong wall that's been built up over time. Tearing down this wall, like in Pink Floyd, The Wall, my purpose with this course is really to help tear down that wall. It's everybody has one. It's not just you. It's not just me. Everyone has a wall built up by all the trauma and pressure and whatever else of the modern world. It's something that we have to work on an ongoing basis. So what steps can we take, or what steps can you take in order to get back to the limitless state? There are several different kinds of methodologies. One of them is simply remembering yourself as a child and the kind of joy that you felt. And joy, don't confuse with happiness. Joy is something that comes from the heart and, excuse me, and joy and wonder for that matter. How often do you stop and smell the roses and, or do you get too caught up in your job or the city you live in, or what's the thing holding you back from really smelling the roses? Because when you start smelling the roses and you start allowing yourself to have wonder about things, your joy will increase, and that's automatically going to help you a lot on your path towards becoming limitless. As an adult, we have a wall around us, a very strong wall that's been built up over time. Tearing down this wall, like in Pink Floyd, The Wall, my purpose with this course is really to help tear down that wall. It's everybody has one. It's not just you. It's not just me. Everyone has a wall built up by all the trauma and pressure and whatever else of the modern world. It's something that we have to work on an ongoing basis. What kind of dreams did you have as a child? Can you remember them? Try to really think about that and try to get back into that mindset, because that's the childlike mindset is so much, as you know, very different than the adult mindset. But the more childlike you can be as often as possible, the better off you're going to be. And think about, what are you really passionate about? If you have any true passions, is that being fulfilled? Is your passion coming out now in your day-to-day life in your job or in your responsibilities? Can you follow your passion? Can you start thinking about what your passions were if you don't still have it? Because it's like Steve Jobs said in the commencement address at Stanford. If you get up, I think he said 2 or 3 days in a row dreading going to work, then you got to change something pretty fast. People that have true passions in their professions or just in life have a much easier life and a lot healthier life just because they're able to live their passion. Relive the situations that you had when you were when your parents beat you down into into, I don't want to say beat you literally, but really berated you. Try to think about those times that parents or bosses, whoever, that maybe many years ago, maybe very recently, but the more you realize them and the more you can think about them, to be in that frame of mind that you understand what those things were, you can start to release them. It's very important to be able to, that's part of the trauma that's stored in the body, what happened to you when you were younger. When you can identify it, then you're going to be able to actually get away from it, let it go. One thing that really helps becoming limitless, and this has been a passion of mine since I was actually quite young, continuous learning and never ever stop learning. When you just let yourself go and take a book about something you've never even heard of before, or let's say know anything about, maybe you've heard of quantum physics, for example, but you don't know what it is. Get a book from Stephen Hawking on quantum physics. He knows how to talk about it in a way that you'll understand. But when you can stretch your brain in any way, shape, or form, by studying something new, by going to a talk about something new, all those things help your brain stay young. And you become more limitless because the synapses are increased. That'll help your creativity, that'll help your happiness, that'll help your learning other things in the future. I've already said this in a previous video for a short bit, but this is, again, one of the things that you can do to become limitless is just think about yourself in a circle, your comfort zone. The circle represents your comfort zone. Make a slightly wider circle than what you're in now. Just take baby steps, make it a bit bigger, but then start living inside that bigger circle and start doing things inside that circle. You will become comfortable in no time with what you've taken on. Well, you just keep doing that. Rinse and repeat, keep doing it, and keep doing it, and you will become a very different person, and one with a lot more courage. Resilience and emotional intelligence, they kind of go hand in hand. How do you look at yourself when somebody berates you today? Do you go inside of a shell? Do you fight back? Emotional intelligence means that you can react in a way that's mature, quote unquote, grown up. And so the more emotional intelligence you have, the more resilience you'll have also. If you start to realize from a 30,000 foot level why a person is acting a certain way, then you can kind of absorb it, and that makes you more resilient when just absorbing it instead of reaction. So learning to live with change, you'll be able to use those changes to grow and go further in your life. And at that point, you're becoming closer and closer to the limitless goal. Network and collaborate with other people. It's an old, let's say, truism that you're as good as the 3 people you spend the most time with, but it doesn't have to be 3 people. It can be 50 people, as long as you have a certain vibe with them, you can actually absorb something from them, even if they might even not be such a nice person, but maybe you can get something out of it by being with them. But the more you network and collaborate, I mean, just to give you a quick story, Steve Jobs was always looked at as such a genius, even though he maybe wasn't so nice all the time. But Steve Jobs would go out and talk to the maids in other people's mansions. He would talk to the gardeners. He would talk to anybody just so he could get that feeling about where they're coming from. That helped his creativity and made him who he was. I mean, he was pretty limitless. At least his emotional intelligence wasn't great, but extremely creative person, and that would help your creativity. Just mix that in a little bit with the emotional intelligence, and you'll be in good shape. Seek feedback from others. That's a good thing that you can actually open up more when you start thinking about the. My watch is bothering me a little bit here, sorry. Now, when you get feedback from others, it makes a huge difference. If you're open to what they're saying, it can make a huge difference in the way you look at life and the way you think about yourself, assuming that it's well-meant feedback. Helping other people in need can be a huge thing that helps you grow. The more you do that, the more you'll grow. This is one of the things that I can say honestly. I've always wanted to help others, and that's I think the reason why I'm on this earth is to help other people. Start thinking that way a little bit, and you'll find out how much you can grow. Meditation every day, if possible, is a very important thing that helps you clear out some garbage in your system, and you'll feel like it's a breath of fresh air again. Once you meditate enough, it'll be like opening up the world to you. In any case, the sooner you can implement some of these things and start getting rid of some of that baggage, the better. The main thing is you have to erase those false beliefs. You have to help tear down your own wall. If you can erase those beliefs, you're going to be far along the path. Thank you for watching, and I'll be coming out with some videos, hopefully about twice a week. And if you enjoyed this, please subscribe and please tell your friends. And any comments you want to give me, I would love to hear. Thank you. Bye-bye.